so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Gonna learn the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams and some modestness. I'm not here to save the day, that's for you to take away. I could play a million mind games, but instead I say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself unstoppable. Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be so remarkable.
Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in.
Are you ready for the best damn NFL show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
Yeah, hey, let's go. Hitting that gridiron, we going hard, we running the plays. You know the vibe, only the strong survive. Gotta keep your head in the game. Talking NFL, uncut, straight raw. Steady bringing that sauce. We about to take off. Get it hype, this man, our sport talk. Yeah, from the quarterback to the lineman. Everybody bringing heat. You don't really wanna try them. Hey, who gon' win? It's a battle of the giants. This show is the flyest. Nobody can deny it. This is Man Hour. Sport Talk. Man Hour. Sport Talk. What team you reppin'? We keep it interesting. Who caught another down? Who got that interception? This is Man Hour. Sport Talk. Man Hour. Sport Talk. What team you reppin'? We keep it interesting. Who caught another down? Who got that interception?
Let's go. What is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckeye Show with the Man Hour. Resort to manhour.co. Check out the merchandise section. Check out the watch tab. And, of course, most importantly, click on the listen tab as well. If you guys like to follow us on all social platforms, we're over on Facebook and, of course, YouTube and the old Twitter machine at Man Hour NFL Talk. It is Power Ranking, guys. Week 15 NFL Talk. We got the toxic table in the house tonight. We got the boys in town. The boys are in town. We got to welcome the man, the myth, the legend, the man that think he's 6'7", but really he's 5'5". That's my man, Mark D, Mr. Denver Broncos fan himself. What's up, Mark?
What up, Buck? What up, Man Hour Nation? Let's do it. Week 15. I can't believe it's already week 15. Let's go.
Yeah, it is week 15, and Christmas is just 15 days away, guys. 15 days away for Christmas, and I have not been shopping yet. Hoffy, have you been shopping? Who cares what Hoffy thinks? But welcome to the show, Hoffy. What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's up, Man Hour Nation? I got my AI jersey because I am the answer.
You are the answer. Can you sound any more Boston when you sound I'm the answer? Like you sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger that went to freaking Germany or something. I don't know. You're freaking weird. But guys, it is NFL.
You know you're jealous. Shut up.
I am very jealous. I would like to live in Boston for like a week or two and try to develop that accent just so I can like come home and do it every now and then. But hey, it is what it is. But guys, it is week 15 NFL season here. We are getting ready to see a lot of football, right? A lot of football. We got, 6 teams playing 3 games in 10 days. So we got a lot of football and a lot of things that will be happening over here the next couple weeks. But it starts with this NFL power rankings. But before we get too carried away, we got to welcome some people in the chat. You got Laura Johnson in the chat, Mrs. Pigskin Punter herself. What's up, Laura? Hope you're having a grand old day. We got Debunk the Junk, says Detroit Lions all day. He says Grit Nation, Grit Nation, Grit Nation. Okay. We will see if the Detroit Lions, can they finally overtake the Philadelphia Eagles and get that number 1 spot, guys. We will talk about that. And I asked that question, and Debunk the Junk said it is undeniable that the Detroit Lions are number 1. You must be new to Man Hour. Debunk the junk. You must be new because the Lions have not been number one the last few weeks. They have not been the top dogs, as they like to say. Got my man Derek in the chat as well. He says, "What's happening? What's up, Derek? What's up? What's up? What's up?" And Debunk the Drunk says, "KC, not bad, but 2 points over the Raiders. Weak sauce. Woo, slow it down, baby." See that back to back. You guys haven't seen this, have you? I just got it over Thanksgiving. This is what you call a back-to-back championship flag. I know, Mark, you have seen it. And Hoffy, I know you have seen it, right? Back-to-back champions. Lions have not done that before. Broncos have, Patriots have, and the Lions have. Nobody else has in a long time. My man James Franklin
it's a prestigious
as well.
club.
James, thank you for releasing Tooney today so he can come back home to the Kansas City Chiefs and win us another Super Bowl with a great punt return. But James says, "Man, I was sweating last night. I almost forgot about that fantasy game because my dumbass started my guy over Allen." Oof. Slow it down, baby. Slow it down. And Laura says, "Hope he's ready to put some respect on the Vikings name. We'll see. We will see. We will see. We'll see." And John says, "What up? Lions need to be number 2. Whoa, John. Whoa. We got some haters in the house tonight. Got some haters and the haters and the haters. But guys, let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and get started with the number 10 team, and that is the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders now are starting to finally play some decent football, right? They went on a nice little 3 or 4 game losing streak there. I'm pulling out my stats just to confirm. They're on a 3-game losing streak, but then they bounced back finally. Jaden Daniels finally looked like the quarterback that he was the first part of the season. The defense locked in, and they started to run the ball very, very well versus the Tennessee Titans, beating them down 42-19. I've had them out of the top 10, but kind of trying to bounce in, right? But that 3-game losing streak definitely hurt them. But I'm giving some momentum to the Commanders because those 3-game losing streak was versus the Steelers, versus the Eagles, and the Dallas Cowboys. All really, really, really good football teams. So, Mark, that is why I do have the Washington Commanders sitting at number 10.
Number 10, I don't know if I'd agree with this one, Buck, about them. I don't think they should be in the top 10, maybe top 15. Like you said, they lost 3 games in a row before they finally won a game. That's not a top 10 team to me, in my opinion. I think the team that should maybe be top 10, they're probably not even on this list, is the Rams. I think they're red hot right now. They're going to be a team you don't want to play in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to agree with Mark, but I agree. They're a Hail Mary away from being, having 3 losses, in 4 games. They have a pretty decent chance of making the playoffs. But since week 7, that rib injury to Jaden Daniels has really, you can't deny that offense has taken a step back. And defense wins championships, and this defense is not very good. The offense is going to have to carry that team, and I don't think they're going to be able to carry them. So I agree with Mark. I don't know that they should be in the top 10.
So when you look at the NFC guys, right, the Commanders right now have a very good, solid hold on that 7 seed, right, in the NFC playoff picture. If the playoffs were to start today, they would play the Eagles. They battled the Eagles, which last week I had them at number 1. Do you guys legitimately do not think that the Commanders could go back into Philly for the second time and really compete with them in the playoffs, like, at all?
I don't think so. I don't think they have the defense to compete with anybody, let alone in their division, let alone in the NFC.
I mean, we talk about division games being, tough games, but I think this defense is just too old, and I think it's catching up to them. And I think this, Philadelphia Eagles team is hitting their stride at the right time of the season. So I don't think that it would even be close. I think it would, be an ass whooping. And even when they faced each other last, yes, it ended up finishing to be a close game, but a lot of those points that the Commanders scored were in garbage time. But the Eagles really pulled away at the start of that second half.
Yeah, so the team that I dropped from 10 was the LA Chargers from last week, right? So I moved the Commanders up there because the Commanders did lose to a decent Kansas City Chiefs team. You guys do not like them like in the 10 spot. Mark mentioned the Rams, right? I do have the Rams sitting at 11, 12, kind of getting ready to burst onto that scene. So, Hoffy, You do not like the Commanders. Should I put the Chargers back up in there? Would that make you happy?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about a sleeper or a team that could battle the Eagles, I think that would be a team like the Rams. I think the Rams could be a dark horse that, Mark talks about. Nobody wants to see his Broncos. They're going to be a tough out. Let's face it. His Broncos suck. They haven't.
They are going to be a tough out. You have no idea.
You guys can't beat a team with a winning record, but I think the Rams are a legitimate team that you should watch out, for in the NFC. They have a gamer in Matt Stafford. They're starting to get healthy, and they just beat the Bills. I mean, their momentum's riding high for them. The Denver Broncos don't have a big win to ride off, on.
So one team that I saw jump up in here. Let me scroll back in the chat. James Frank says Baker and the Bucks are better than the Washington Commanders, and I think eventually, James, the Buccaneers will get back into the top 10. As long as they keep doing what they're doing and they keep improving week after week after week. Not only are the Buccaneers in the playoffs right now as a 4th seed, they are going to be a dangerous 4th seed. But I am not sold on them 100% yet. I want to see a little bit more of this defense. Can they really come and gel together like they did the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season when they beat, a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, when they beat a team like the Detroit Lions? So the Buccaneers are coming. Mark, you agree. Do you think the Buccaneers are a top 10 team?
Yes, I do think they're top 10. I think they've been hot just like the Rams. That's another team that you don't want to play in the playoffs because every game up until then it will be like a playoff game for them. So that's like the whole reason why you don't want to play teams like that. And like I said, the Broncos are in that same category. I know Javi doesn't agree, but yes, we're a team we're hot. He doesn't like hearing it, but yes, we're a hot team. We have a really good run game. Our defense is solid, probably one of the best in the league. Our quarterback can manage the game. He's capable. Yeah, so you can't say that we're not going to be a tough out.
Yeah, so
you're going to make the playoffs off of beating teams that are going to be in the top 5, like for first round picks or number 1 overall pick.
Not wrong, Mark. But let's go ahead and jump over into the comments and let's see what the people are saying here. And Debunk the Junk says Matthew Stafford still is the boss. Yes, Matthew Stafford played lights out last night. It was Monday night, right? Or Sunday night, I should say. He played lights out. He played a great game. But I'm just not sold on the Rams yet, right? I'm not sold. They put together 2 games, right? They have played well. I'm just not sold on the Rams as of right now. Laura says, no way. The Commanders 10th? I think that's still too high. Too soon to be good again. Wow.
Yep.
You guys are not liking the Commanders at like 10. Okay. I can respect it.
The Broncos at 10.
I can respect it. John says, is that after being gassed last night? Meaning the Dallas Cowboys. Stop sleeping on the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are still a playoff team. They can get there, John. They can get there. John says, I like the Kansas City Chiefs at number 10. Okay.
Thought this was a football podcast, not a comedy show.
Debunk the Junk says, for real, Rams at 10. Man, you guys are loving some Rams. Okay. I can respect that. So that is who I have at number 10 right now. Then coming in at number 9, unchanged from last week, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. The reason why they're unchanged from last week is really we had nothing to go off of because they had a bye week, right? But as of right now, since their 5-game winning streak, they're a 500 team. They have lost to the Browns, they have lost to the Steelers, and they've lost to the Eagles. They have beaten the Broncos, Bengals, and Chargers. So right now, I am not in love with the Baltimore Ravens at all, but they are still a top 10 team in the NFL. Any given Sunday, they can turn it on just like that. And I think coming out of this bye week, we are going to see the true Baltimore Ravens come back that won that 5 games in a row. They're going to give Derrick Henry the ball over and over and over again. And that is why I do have the Baltimore Ravens sitting at number 9.
I think this is a good slot for them. Yeah, like you said, they haven't played well, especially up to their caliber. But because of the way they've played, that's why they're ranked number 9. So I agree. Or 8, whatever the number is.
9.
You should stop taking loads to the face.
Jesus, you guys are asses.
But no, I think the Ravens Like Mark said, their team skill wise, paper wise, should be higher up, but they seem to play down to their competition. They lost to the Raiders at home. And they lost to the Steelers this, a couple weeks ago, now coming off the bye. That was a game that they had to win. That was a game where I think that was the be all tell all. Is this team legit or not? They don't use their two-headed monster the way they should. And I think their success is going to fall on, whether or not they ride or die on, Henry.
Yeah, so one of the biggest things about the Baltimore Ravens is I've kind of been saying this for the last 6 weeks or so, is I think they're more dangerous as this underdog, as this wild card team, right? Because the last few seasons we've seen the Baltimore Ravens, the number 1 seed, right? Teams going into their house and they whoop that ass. We've seen them at the number 2 seed. Teams go in there and they whoop that ass. Now, what if Lamar Jackson can go on the road and actually start to win some football games, get that confidence built up a little bit without the pressures of being the number 1 seed, like without being the pressures of winning a home playoff game, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I do think the Baltimore Ravens will come around. They do play the New York Giants, and then they play the Pittsburgh Steelers again coming up in the next 2 weeks. Two very, very good games. I think this is where they need to get back on track. Now, if they lose to the New York Giants, if they lose to Danny DiNucci, because I think Drew Lock is officially out now with that broken elbow or whatever he has, or he just has a weak arm, but whatever. But the Giants are not a very good team. They have a decent defense, but they're not a very good team. If the Ravens lose to the Giants, they are done. The Ravens might miss the playoffs if they lose to.
To go off of they could be a dangerous away, a dangerous road team, provided it was back to the Joe Flacco days. But I think back to, some of the battles that they had with New England. They always played New England tough during New England's dynasty, and they were usually on the road in those games. So, yeah, I think that they are a team that might be a little bit better on the road. Not having that home crowd advantage, definitely hurts, but, just pin the ears back and just get after it.
Yeah, exactly. Mark, any last thoughts before we move on to number 8?
I'm kind of like with you, what you said, dude, about how if they if they lose to the Giants, or if they lose to, because you said they play the Steelers and the Texans, and then they also play the Giants and then the Browns. But I feel like they could lose any one of those games, dude. The way their defense has been playing, their defense is shit, dude. So if they don't shore that up, yeah, they're gonna lose their seeding. They're gonna be like you said, they're gonna be a wild card team.
Yeah. On the bright side, the defense
wild card team that's gonna lose the rest of their games are the Denver Broncos.
On the bright side, the Ravens defense has been playing a little bit better the last 2 weeks, holding their opponents to underneath 20 points those last 2 weeks. James Frank says Henry cut his dreads. Does that make him lose his magic? Mark, you know all about nice long hair. Does cutting your dreads make you lose your magic? First things first, why did you cut your dreads, Derrick Henry? That's kind of like his
He
staple.
probably did it because he wants a refresh, dude. Like, who knows? People do weird shit. I don't know.
Hoffy, you have beautiful locks of hair. Do you lose your magic when you cut your hair?
No, instead of running 22 miles an hour, now he's going to run 25. So
that's kind of what I was thinking.
Imagine
more
6'4", 250 coming at you.
What people do not understand is each one of those dreads probably weigh about 1.5 pounds, right? Because that thing was down to his ass, right? One of those dreads was like 1.5 pounds. That's probably 15, 20 pounds of hair gone. Hoffy's right. He is going to be faster. John says, then why don't you move them up? Because I think they will be better in the playoffs, John. I'm not saying this week or next week, but in the playoffs, they'll be all right. They'll be all right. Laura says, I ain't mad. Go purple. All about the purple. Derek says, who are locks in the playoffs? The Chiefs, Texans get a lock, and there was somebody else. I can't remember who it was, but yeah, the playoff picture is starting to come together. Jim Powell says, every team needs those losses as well as 14 wins. I die on that hill. They like not us against the world. All righty. I agree with that. Lose, 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 baby. James Frank says, LOL, if my Browns sweep the Ravens, I guess I can have a teeny tiny bit of happiness for the year. Don't give up hope for that. If the Browns sweep the Ravens, I think Baltimore might fall off into the Atlantic Ocean. Let's just call it what it is. Josh Olson says, I'm not watching this tonight. I'm at an event with my wife, but here's my top 10 list. Lions, Chiefs, Eagles, Bills, Vikings, Packers, Steelers, Ravens, Commanders, Seahawks.
Nobody gives a shit what your top 10 is.
I was thinking about sliding the Seahawks up there, but he has the Commanders at number 9. So he's not wrong. But number 9, I do have the Baltimore Ravens. Coming in at number 8, I have a team coming off a loss. But I have a team that maybe has a little bit of issue. They have an issue with drop passes. Nothing like this season, but last season they dropped the ball a lot. They lead the league in drops right now with 26 and a drop percentage of 7.3. Ouch, ouch, ouch. They come off another loss to the Detroit Lions, so I had them falling into number 8, and that is the one and only Green Bay Packers. They are right now 9-4 on the season. They were on a 3-game winning streak, but now they've lost to the Lions, and now they play at Seahawks, Saints, Vikings, and Bears to round out the season. They're currently they're at 6th in the NFC playoff pictures and 3rd in the NFC North. The Green Bay Packers, Mark, at number 8.
Well, I usually don't think a team should be put up higher on the list when they lost a game. I don't understand that.
I moved them down.
I guess I'm guessing my Broncos got dropped out of the list for one of these teams, I'm assuming. And honestly, I don't think Green Bay is that great. Like you said, they have a lot of young, talented wide receivers, but they drop the ball a lot. And also, Jordan Love likes to throw the ball to the other team a lot. So they need to shore that up if they need to, if they're going to be better down the road. And I just think that I wouldn't even put them on the top 10, maybe 10.
Go smoke another one, Mark. This is a team that even coming off a loss could, be in, you could even argue top 5. I mean, they've got, of their 4 losses, 2 of them to Detroit, 1 to Minnesota, and 1 to Philadelphia. Those are their 4 losses. All those 3 teams are, right up there as top 5 teams. You could argue 1, 2, and 3. So I think that having them at number 8 is a disservice. I think I'd have them, even coming off of a loss, I think 6 at the lowest. I think they're a solid team. But you want to talk about drops, Buck, you know all about drops with your Kansas City Chiefs from last year.
Yeah, and honestly, the Chiefs got better because of those drop passes, because they realized, hey, we have to run the ball to be successful. And I think the Green Bay Packers are actually in a very, very good position. I did have them dropping down in this week's power ranking simply because I think Jordan Love is kind of a head case right now. That whole wide receiver core as a whole, Watson and Dobbs and whoever else that they have out there, the ball can hit them in their hands and they make a beautiful catch, but the very next play it hits them in the chest and then they drop it. Watson is 101 about this. And I do think if the Green Bay Packers can catch the ball, if they can and if they just play the ball that they know how to play, they are a Super Bowl caliber team. Hoffy, you are right. They probably do deserve to be in the top 5, but I slid them out of the top 5 down to number 8 because of the drops right now and because of the defense. When you give up that many points to the Detroit Lions, yes, I understand the Detroit Lions are a really, really good offense, but you're going to have to play a team like the Lions or the Eagles in the playoffs to make it to the Super Bowl, so they need to tighten that up a little bit. Mark, you looked very, very displeased about the Packers.
I'm one of those people that I think that they're going to struggle down the stretch. They didn't look good against Detroit, and I think it's starting to show. So, and these young wide receivers aren't going to get any better as the time goes. So that they have that against them. So I just think, my gut feeling, I just think that they're gonna struggle in the rest of the way. Like I said, and also their division is tough because Minnesota is really hot this year, and they have to deal with Detroit.
Yeah, they are very, very young. They are actually the youngest team in the NFL yet again for the second year in the row. But Hoffy, this is about the time last season when the Packers got hot. And they got hot and they made that playoff push. And then they upset the Dallas Cowboys in in the playoffs. I think you might be onto something, Hoffy. Do you think they
They
do
nearly
get hot?
upset the 49ers too. I mean,
Yeah,
they
they
were
should've,
beating
yeah.
them going into halftime. And you know,
Come on, Hop. The 49ers ain't nothing this year, dude. Come on.
I'm
was
talking
last
last year,
year.
you fucking fool.
Last year. Yeah, they definitely played very, very, very well. But sitting at number 8 do have the Green Bay Packers. And Laura's like, Buck, Green Bay Packers do not belong on the list. Yuck. They do belong on the list. They do belong on the list because they are a Super Bowl caliber team. They definitely belong on the list. Debunk the Junk's like, bro, the Broncos? Stop it.
All right, let's go to number 6. Let's just skip right over number 7.
Let's go ahead and skip number 7. Let's see what the other people are saying. They didn't play well, in my opinion, me and the Green Bay Packers. Jim says the Broncos not on the list. I guess is that time of year to push the cattle across the Brokeback Mountain. No more interest in football. It's all about basketball now. And Laura said, did Mark just say Minnesota's hot? Oh my God, can I get an instant replay on that?
Oh shit, I did say that.
You were dogging.
Yeah.
I mean, we were both kind of dogging the Vikings the last few weeks, but yeah, they're definitely playing some good football, right? But number 8 are the Green Bay Packers. Now, number 7. This is a team that's on a 3-game winning streak. This is a team that has beaten the Atlanta Falcons, beat down the Atlanta Falcons. This is a team that bruised Aiden O'Connell's pride and carried over into next week when he got carted off on an aircast with had a bruised knee or whatever. And then they beat the Browns last week as well in a nice little shootout on Monday Night Football that Mark was at. And that is the one and only Denver Broncos sitting at number 7.
I know Hoffy's going to shit all over this ranking, just like he already knew that they were going to be number 7 because apparently he got the list before I did. So it's whatever. Like, I think we're a good, solid team. I think 7 is a good number. It's in all these rankings are opinion based in all reality. Let's admit that. So I think they deserve to be on the top 10, wherever you decide to put them. That's cool. I just think they are a top 10 team right now in the NFL.
They haven't beat a team with a winning record. And how do you have them ahead of, you know, the Los Angeles Chargers, who are in front of them in the standings and just played, you know, yes, coming off of a loss, but they played the Chiefs pretty well. And if it wasn't for Dicker, the kicker, doinking it off the upright or up left, you know, they could have very well lost that game. This Denver Broncos team is a good team when they're playing teams that don't have a winning record. They're not good when they're playing teams with winning record. I definitely do think that they are a team to watch out for in the future. I think that they're definitely, and I think Mark would be the first to say this, they are overachieving versus what a lot of these people thought that they would do this year. But I don't know that I would call them a dangerous team come playoff time.
Yeah, and I do have to agree with you on that, Hoffy. I do not think they are winning a playoff game because if the playoffs were to start today, they would obviously playing the Buffalo Bills. They might
say Buffalo.
They might very well compete with the Buffalo Bills because the Broncos can run the ball. The Buffalo Bills have trouble stopping the run, and they do play good.
We've played Josh Allen before.
Defense. So they definitely could compete, but I just don't see them winning. Mark, you guys have won 3 games in a row, meaning your team, the Denver Broncos, that has number 7 in this week's power rankings, moving up. But do you legitimately think that they are a team that could go deep into the playoffs?
I'm not going to say we're going to go deep into the playoffs, but I think we could at least beat someone that we're going to play. Like, if we play Buffalo, I'm not scared of Buffalo. I think we can beat Buffalo. I think anybody we match up with, I think we'll have a legitimate shot. I think we have a team that's going to travel well. We have a run game that's really good. That'll travel well. A defense, a really good defense, that travels well. I think we'll be solid wherever we got to go and play.
Hoffy, didn't this great defense just give up 38 points to Jameis Winston and Jerry Jeudy?
32, but yeah, they barely beat a Cleveland Browns team that, you know, has 3 wins on the season.
It beat the Ravens. The Broncos didn't.
They also beat the Raiders. I mean, woohoo. You know, they beat Kirk Cousins. He's like, he's got 1 foot in the door of retirement and you know, a nursing home, never mind retirement, nursing home. You know, beat Carolina too by 2 touchdowns. There you go.
But yeah, I do have the Broncos sitting at number 7 because I think they are better than the other 20 some odd teams in the league. I think if the Broncos play head to head any team below them that they're going to win that game. So they would beat the Green Bay Packers. They would beat the LA Chargers. They would beat the Washington Commanders, right? They would beat those teams. Now, the teams above them, I do not think that they will beat. That's why I have them sitting at number 7. So let's go ahead and see what the people are saying over here in the chat. Bada bing, bada boom. James says, Mark, how did Jerry Jeudy make you feel, though, when you saw him?
I got to tell you, he pissed me off. I'll tell you that.
Mark
I was more pissed
thing.
about our defensive play calling and why we didn't have Surtain on him the whole game. I don't understand, but, I don't make the play calls.
Yeah, it is what it is. Jim Powell says, ain't no way. The Broncos are just like the Queefs, worst winning team in the league. But hey, they winning though. They winning, right? They winning. Jim also says, if they weren't 8 or worse, it is a shame. Well, I moved them up because I think they're a little bit better than 8th, Jim. I think a little bit 8th. Laura says, Pony's on that list? I'm okay with that. She says, I'm okay with number 7. Okay, I like it. And then Mike wants to come up here and talk some shit. He says, punch those clowns talking about sports they know nothing about. Well, okay.
Is that us? Are we the clowns?
I think so. People like to come at me because I know how to get underneath their skin. Like I sent you guys a link today about the rule book. Yeah, know the rules, right? Know the rules, Buck. James Frank says, so why are you here? Go somewhere, dude. Man, you guys are lovely. Man, our nation to the rescue. Laura says, but here you are, Mike. Man, you all savages. You all savages. But coming in at number 7, I do have the Denver Broncos. Coming in at number 6, this is a team that is hot. Mark said it. I'm saying it. This is a team that is hot. They have now won 6 games in a row, beating the Colts, beating the Jaguars, Titans, and Bears, all on the road. Those 3 tough games were on the road, and then they beat Arizona Cardinals team, and they dominated Atlanta Falcons team. And that is the number 6 seed in this week's power rankings, the Minnesota Vikings. Mark.
I agree with this one. Like I said, I think they are a hot team right now. Laura, I said it. They are a hot team. I totally think that. I think Sam Darnold is actually playing really hot for them as well. Like 5 touchdowns in the game. The guy was killing it yesterday. I know it's Atlanta defense, but still, like you said, they've won 6 in a row. You got to give it up to a team that is winning like that, despite however they're doing it. They keep proving me wrong, and I gotta admit, like they are a good team.
They are a very, very good team. And I'm looking for the post that was posted earlier today in our NFC North Trash Talk group. I believe it was by Laura, if I'm not mistaken. Here it is. So Sam Darnold so far this season, Hoffy, has more passing yards than Lamar Jackson. He has more touchdowns than Josh Allen, and he has fewer interceptions than Patrick Mahomes. And the Vikings are tied for the 3rd best record in the NFL. But I only have them sitting at number 6. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, you haven't been on the bandwagon all season. The train has already gone by the station. You're not welcome on it. You can hang out with Mike Moen. Is Mike a man or a girl? Because he looks like a dyke.
Wow. So when I look at the Minnesota Vikings, right, I see a team that is improving each and every week. Earlier this season, when they were 5-0, right, and I believe JJ was getting about 80 yards a game, he's like, I want to break that 100 yards. And I said, this is the beginning of the end for the Minnesota Vikings. And I was spot on. They lost the next two games. Then I got a little ahead of myself. I'm like, they'll probably lose the next 7, right? I was strictly trolling that, but I said, hey, we're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Mark, you and I were kind of on the same page there. We're like, yeah, they are winning. Yeah, they're 5-0, but Sam Darnold just doesn't look very good. He put the ball on the turf a lot. He's throwing a lot of interceptions. Just doesn't look great, or not interceptions, but he was throwing the ball up in those 50 balls per se. And Laura says, come on, Buck, the Vikings should be a top 5 team. So, Mark, we were down on them. We are now saying that they're hot. They have won, 5-6 games in a row. They're looking like a potential top 5 team. How in your eyes, can they get into a top 5 spot?
That's tough. For me, I guess if they deserve top 5 is if they get closer to the number 1 seed. They're pretty close now. If they supersede Detroit and Philly, then yeah, you got to give them top 5, if not even top 3.
mean, honestly, they're only a game out, right? If the Lions lose to the Bills on Sunday, they are now tied, right? They're tied for that first seed, even though the Lions still have the head-to-head tie breaker there. But Hoffy, it kind of sounds like you're kind of jumping on this Minnesota train. Are you on this train?
I've been on the caboose for weeks. What are you talking about? Sam Darnold is him. Y'all talk about Baker Mayfield being, top 10 quarterback. We got to talk about Sam Darnold.
So let me ask you this question, because I don't know the criteria of comeback player of the year now, because I know they changed it a little bit because Joe Flacco won it last season when he definitely shouldn't have. When he only played like 4 games or whatever it was. But should Sam Darnold be kind of deemed that kind of comeback player of the year? Coming back from the bench and coming into a starter and kind of being this great guy, Hoffy.
Yeah, he was holding a water bottle for 17 weeks, 19 weeks, whatever it was last year. So to come back and, lead a team, and be battling for the number 1 seed or even your division, and for a conference championship. Yeah, I think that he's the definition of, what you would consider a comeback player of the year.
Yeah, and Laura is loving the purple and gold jersey, AI jersey you got going on there as well. So
yes,
look,
I Googled it. So he would fall in line with it. It says the comeback player of the year award is an honor for a player who has demonstrated resilience in the face of adversity by overcoming illness, physical injury, or other circumstances that led him to miss playing time the previous season. So yeah, he missed previous time last year because he really, is on the fence talent-wise. So I guess he would be considered that.
Wow, I didn't know Mark knew how to read.
Well, and I don't think that would qualify him because he wasn't injured, right? He was just a backup. So
it said he missed time for certain circumstances. That was a circumstance that he missed time for, that he wasn't the starter.
So the circumstances was that he just plain sucked? Like, is that what it comes down to?
But that's what it says, dude. Hey. So I guess.
And he improved.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, so the Vikings are impressive right now. I do have them at number 6, moving up a spot into number 6 here. The reason why I do not have them in the top 5, because I think there are 5 teams that could beat them head-to-head right now. And the first team that I think that could beat them head-to-head right now is one of the most dangerous teams in the NFL, the team that keep on, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs. Mark, the Kansas City Chiefs right now are 12-1. They can get lucky all they want, but sometimes luck is just skill. They're just that skilled of a team. They have now won 3 straight games, despite losing to the Buffalo Bills 3 weeks ago. They've beaten the Panthers, Raiders, and Chargers, and they do have the Browns, Texans, and Steelers coming up. Those 3 games in 10 days. The Kansas City Chiefs coming in at number 5.
Where were they at last week? I can't remember.
They were at number 6. I moved them up 1 spot.
So they deserve to be 1 spot, but it was struggling against Carolina. So you're going to move them up for that.
They didn't play Carolina. They played the Chargers.
It was 2 weeks ago. Come on.
Yeah. They played.
Well, I'm just saying, they play Carolina. They play them like shit. They played the Chargers like shit. Everybody else they've been playing, they've barely been winning these games, dude. Mahomes isn't at MVP level. The defense is less than. You are so homer with the Chiefs when you put them on this list.
So
your Broncos couldn't beat the Chargers, so shut your mouth.
So let's just talk about this. First of all, the Carolina Panthers, since Bryce Young has come back, has been a very, very competitive team. They took the Bucs to the brink. A Bucs that you guys wanted in the top 10. They took the Philadelphia Eagles that I had number 1 last week in my NFL power rankings, right? They took the Kansas City Chiefs to the brink, which is a top 5 team in the NFL. I don't care if you win by 1 or if you win by 100. The point of the matter is that the Kansas City Chiefs are winning, and they're doing it every different way possible. And when I look at the Kansas City Chiefs, they are better than 26 other teams in the NFL. If 26 of those other teams, if they played head-to-head right now, the Kansas City Chiefs would win. Hoffy?
Yeah, I mean, stats-wise, you look at them offensively, and they're not very good. Compared to their opponents, you look at them, points per game versus their opponent. They're 11th versus their opponents are 7th. Yards per game, they're 16th compared to their opponents being 6th. So, yes, their stats aren't very good, but the teams that they're playing are good offensively, defensively, and they're beating them. So that, I mean, at the end of the day, stats don't matter. It's, it's the scoreboard when when you see 3, 4 zeros, whatever you're going to see at the, on the scoreboard. So that's what counts, and they're winning. So you got to put respect on them.
Yeah. So, Mark, you said they don't even be deserving in the top 10. They are 12-1. Why? Give me a legitimate reason besides they're not blowing teams out. They are still winning. They're still 12-1. Patrick Mahomes isn't an MVP level quarterback, but when it's crunch time, 2 minutes left on the clock, he drives his team down the field to win those games. Why should they not be a top 10 team?
I spoke too hastily. I didn't mean it. They shouldn't be in the top 10. Maybe they should be 10, but like they should barely be in this list. Like they haven't. They, like you said, they have barely beat teams. They don't look like the champions of old. And I'm telling you, at some point, the bubble's gonna pop. And I think I see it popping in the playoffs, like I predicted at the beginning of the year. They will not. They'll go to the playoffs like they always do. But somebody surprisingly is gonna beat them, and they're not gonna go to Super Bowl this year. It's somebody else's turn.
Yeah, you might be exactly right. But this week, going into week 15, I think they are better than the other 25, 27 teams that are below them right now.
He's just hating because he's a Brokeback Pony fan.
Not wrong. I'm just kidding. So let's go ahead and see what the people are saying over here in the chat here. Debunk the Junk says point differential. I believe it's less than 40, right? They do not have a very large point differential. They only have 2 double-digit wins so far this season over the 49ers and Saints, if I'm not mistaken. They're Debunked the Junk.
A win is a win.
Yeah.
And they've won, 15 games in a row, 15 single-digit wins in a row or something. So
yep. 15
it doesn't matter how pretty
games.
it is. A win is a win.
A win is a win. And John says, oh, my God, I just threw up a little bit in my mouth. John must have looked in the mirror a little too hastily and saw himself. James Frank says
either that or his boyfriend forgot to shower.
Taylor Swift isn't going to like us in Cleveland fans after that trash Browns beat them. If the Browns beat the Kansas City Chiefs, it would not shock me. Browns are not a terrible team. But Newsome II is on IR. You just released Tooney. Tooney's going to now be playing for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's going to know the playbook. It is what it is. And accidentally 5th. They're not accidentally 5th. They're the 5th team. 5th best team in the NFL. And Derek says, you got to score 30 or die. Kansas City Chiefs don't need to score 30 points. They haven't broke 30 points yet this season. They scored 30 points, but they haven't broke it. They're still winning. Still winning. Laura says, I'm okay with the Kansas City Chiefs there. But like I said, I believed yesterday they are winning, but it's struggle for them to pull off a win. Let's see what happens in the playoffs. And Laura, Mark, and rest of the people out there, many people saying that, me included, I think there are teams out there like the Eagles, the Lions, the Bills, the Chiefs, probably the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Ravens and other divisional teams that they're just ready for January to start, right? They are just going to put out the bare minimum effort in these games and kind of just get to the playoffs. And I think the Chiefs are going to be like the Lakers of old, right? When they had Kobe and Shaq. Once the playoffs start, they're going to turn on that light and they're going to start playing some good football. Mark, it just looks like you saw a ghost because you know all about the Kansas City Chiefs playoffs, right?
Not this year, Buck. Like I've been telling you all year, not this year. This is not their year.
And only time will tell. We got a month until the playoffs start, and we will see. We'll see. James Frank says that 5th spot is still valid. A dub is a dub, and that's all they got to do. Win by 1, win by 20, a win's a win, right? John is on your train, Mark. He says their luck will run out.
Yes, sir.
Now, let me ask you guys this question, because I've seen all of these posts, and it was my rant yesterday, right? If the Chargers would have beat the Kansas City Chiefs for a missed field goal, would that have been a luck for the Chargers when they won that game? Hoffy, would it have been lucky for the Chargers to win that game if they would have missed if the Chiefs would have missed that field goal?
I don't think that would have been luck. I thought it was a pretty well-played football game. It was a divisional game.
Right. Mark, would you call it luck if the Chargers would have won that game?
No, because the Chiefs always, like I said, they always find some way to win. but it isn't pretty. And they're not, like I said, at some point that's going to run out. They're going to run into a team that they can't defend against.
So let me ask you this. How is it lucky that Patrick Mahomes took 4.5 minutes off the clock, drove the Chiefs down the field into field goal range with their fourth string kicker to win the game? How is that luck?
I didn't say it was luck. I said he always finds a way.
But you also said their luck will run out, and many people are saying that that win was luck.
I mean, if the doink goes the other way, then yeah, then it would have been lucky.
It is what it is. It is what it is. Jonah Ross says the Chiefs suck. Coming from a Bengals fan, I understand, Jonah Ross. I understand. Jim says, I'm no KC fan, but if my dad beat the shit out of me, or just beat the shit out of me with just many hits or one hit, I don't want any of it. Not wrong. It doesn't matter how you beat you as long as I knock you out, right? James Frank says, Tooney is recording an album with the Island Boys. Jesus. Too soon, man. Too soon. Oh, man. And Laura says she loves her some Island Boys. Are you serious? Get out of here with that. Sarah is in the chat. What's up, Sarah? She says that was the dumbest comment ever. Oh, that the Chiefs suck? I guess so. Sarah, I don't remember what team you are. Laura says, if they take over the top spot, would they be top 3? I'm confused. I don't know what you're trying to say. But I do have the Kansas City Chiefs coming in at number 4. Coming in at number 5, coming in at number 4 is a team that lost on Sunday night. A team that got kind of humiliated, let's just be honest, right? I believe it was Casey that texted me, are the Rams putting out the blueprint to beat the Buffalo Bills? And I think it is right. And dropping from number 2 to number 4 in this week's power rankings are the Buffalo Bills. Mark, I do believe that the Rams put out a blueprint to beat the Buffalo Bills. You run the ball on them, make them bring that safety down, and bada bing, bada boom, it opens up the passing game, and it looks like Matthew Stafford looked like he's 25 again. I think the Rams put the blueprint out there. I think the Buffalo Bills are like one of those teams that are just ready for January, right? They have their division locked up. They have their playoff spot locked up. They just want the playoffs to start. But coming in at number 4, I do have the Buffalo Bills.
In this type of situation, when I see them have a game like this, the Bills, when they have a game like this where their defense, I'm just going to say it, look like shit. And this is the thing that bugs me the most about, okay, so Sean McDermott, I think he's a good coach, but I wouldn't say he's a great coach. Like, he's one of those, he's a defensive-minded coach, but yet he lets this defense, or he lets the Rams do all this shit all over his defense when they've been rolling over teams. And it's like, is this guy capable of taking this team and winning the Super Bowl? Like, I have a lot of questions when I see a game like this with them.
Javi, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're still riding high off of, clinching their division. And are they, you've said it many times, of vanilla game plan. Did they just, they're also traveling across the country. Yes, it's a 3-hour backdrop of the time difference instead of, losing 3 hours. But did they just show up, play flat-footed, and take the L and not really give a shit? Yes, it's going to hurt, for the race for that 1 seed, but I think that it's a team that just they're waiting for January.
Yeah.
Dude, Josh Allen threw 5 touchdowns and they still lost the game. Like, how the hell does that happen?
It just happens sometimes, right? He threw for 3 and rushed
because
for 3.
You played Matthew Stafford.
Yeah. So a guy was real hesitant of dropping the Bills to be honest, right? Like, because I watched that game and I saw the game and I saw that their defense wasn't playing great. But what I did see in the Buffalo Bills in that game is they never gave up, right? It was a 10-point game at halftime, maybe 12-point game, and they came rolling back, right? They came back and they went blow for blow with the Rams that whole second half. Also, to Javi's point, it was a cross-country game. That does affect you. Whether you want to admit it or not, time zones affect you, right? Jet lagged, like et cetera, right? third thing that I questioned, like about them dropping them down, was that this is the dog days of the NFL season. Week 12, 13, 14, 15, they're kind of like, man, I'm ready for the playoffs, or man, I'm ready for the season to be over. And the Buffalo Bills are right in that spot, and they have a big game next week versus the Detroit Lions. Were they overlooking the Rams? Potentially. So that is why I was really hesitant of dropping them down, but I did ultimately drop them down because I do think there's 3 teams above them that if they would play head-to-head right now that the Buffalo Bills would lose to. So are you guys okay with them sitting at number 4, Mark?
I'm okay with number 4. Like I said, they did lose, but they did fight. But like I said, their defense was atrocious.
Hoffy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I think that the Rams they wanted it more and they needed it more. They're trying to win their division. I think they've been playing well of late, so they were riding some momentum. And I think the Bills, again, they won the division. They kind of took a step back just to relax and enjoy it a little too much.
Yeah, it is tough to get up for a game when you have nothing to get up for, right? And I definitely took that into consideration when putting them there. James Frank says, but Josh Allen is him.
He is.
Josh Allen is the MVP. Josh Allen is the beast, right? Six touchdowns versus the Rams, 5 touchdowns before the week before. He is playing some good football right now. Ever since he got engaged, he's been playing lights out. He's playing to support his kids, right? My man, Alpha Rob, he is a Buffalo Bills fan. He said the Rams wanted the game more. The Bills defense didn't bring that energy. I did notice that, right? The first half, the Buffalo Bills were very, very flat as a whole team. So Von Miller was getting blown off the line. It was just a very overall.
A lot of people are going to think this is a hot take, but, dude, I think Josh Allen is way more gifted of an athlete than Mahomes.
Well, that's a given. Like, Patrick can do one thing, throw the football really, really well, and he's sneakily fast for his
beer belly self.
Beer belly that he has, right?
Dad bod.
Yeah. Man, and if you want a true hot take,
game of golf.
If you want a true hot take, I think Josh Allen is a better athlete than Lamar Jackson. I mean, if you want to,
that's a good one.
So, like, Josh Allen is an incredible athlete. He's an incredible, gifted NFL player. Laura says,
I'm glad you agree with that because I was thinking the same thing earlier today. Somebody brought that up, and I was like, dude's way more gifted than Mahomes.
Yeah.
Lamar's just fast and can throw the ball really fast.
Well,
and can throw it far, but Josh Allen can do all those things, and he's big and he's white.
And he's a lot more accurate, right? He's a lot more accurate than Lamar throwing the ball, especially on the run. Laura says, I am not mad about the Buffalo Bills being number 4, as you should not be, because these are my power rankings. They're spot on. Sarah, I do remember, Sarah, now you are a Vikings fan, if I remember correctly. She says, LOL, every other team gets to win close games except for the Vikings. Vikings blow out the Falcons. It was just the Falcons. What an excuse are we going to come with next? So if you want to talk a little bit about the Vikings, I am not throwing any shade on the Falcons because many people were talking the Falcons up when they were 6-3. Super Bowl team, this. Kirk Cousins, comeback player.
I've been yelling for Penix Jr., man.
But the truth of the matter is the Falcons have lost 4 games in a row now? The Falcons are not very good. I'm not throwing any shade on the Vikings. I think we're all kind of in agreement here that they're one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now. They have 5 or 6 wins in a row. They are playing good football, Sarah, and we've talked about how good they are. Jim Powell says the Bills line is on point. I thought their offensive line kind of sucked a little bit, but it is what it is. James Frank says he's been playing to support his kids he's about to make. Exactly. He got engaged to that Seinfeld chick. She's pretty good looking. Your heads needs to be popped.
Ask Mark if the Vikings are still Fugazi. No, we want to talk about Fugazi.
No, they are not Fugazi, Laura. They are no longer Fugazi.
You know who is Fugazi?
They have that real shine now.
You know who is Fugazi? Is it the number 3 team? Is the number 3 team Fugazi?
Yep.
I don't know about this.
The Detroit Lions.
I don't know. The Detroit Lions, no. Coming at number 3. This team is sitting at 10-3. first in the AFC North. They have won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of their last 8 games, and they do play the Philadelphia Eagles on the road this weekend. They will be without George Pickens potentially again versus the Philadelphia Eagles, but they do. This is another team that plays 3 games in 10 days. They play the Eagles, Ravens, and Chiefs moving forward, but the Pittsburgh Steelers move up in this week's power rankings, coming into number 3, moving up 1 spot, actually 2 spots into number 3. Pittsburgh Steelers.
This is another team like Minnesota. I keep thinking that the shoe's going to fall off, and it doesn't fall off. Yeah. I still in agreement with Hoffy. I still think they are Fugazi. I do think Pittsburgh at some point is going to shit the bed, but somehow every week they keep winning. And I think a lot of that is not necessarily Russ, but it's Tomlin, because Tomlin is putting them in the right position every week to win, like he does every fucking year. Like, you got to give him credit. Like Hoffy was talking about respect. I'm putting respect on Mike Tomlin's name because the dude does this shit every year. You got to put respect on it.
Yeah, I mean this team. I don't know how they're still pulling it off week after week, but we're gonna we're really gonna find out these next 4 weeks. They got Philadelphia coming this week, then they go to Baltimore. They then host Kansas City and Cincinnati, and Cincinnati hasn't been playing all that great.
That's rough.
Yeah, Cincinnati hasn't been playing great, but it's a division game. They usually split the series with these 3 teams. That even consider the Browns. It seems like there's usually they split. So they might not even win a game the rest of this season.
Yeah. So there are many talking heads out there, right, that are saying the Pittsburgh Steelers are about ready to fall off, right? They are getting ready to lose 3 games in a row. I do not foresee that happening whatsoever. I could see 2 games, right? I could see maybe the Ravens and then turn right around and they days. The Ravens are doing the same. Steelers, Texans, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Can we really put stock into these next 3 games, Mark?
Yes, because those are the important games before you go into the playoffs. Let's say you lose 3 games in a row, and then you're going to go into the playoffs like that. You're going to go in limping. That's not what you want. I know that's what Tomlin doesn't want. He doesn't want that.
Right, Hoffy.
Yeah, I mean, these next 4 games are your momentum builders for the playoffs. You don't want to go into the playoffs losing 3 out of 4. Even 2 out of 4 is a tough. You want to go into, if you can get 3 out of 4, they're gonna go in. They're gonna feel pretty confident, and I think that all of us will start to put some respect on the name, and they might be able to make some noise. But I don't know. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they, I don't want to say they play to their competition, because then these next 4 weeks they're going to play well and they're going to win. And I just don't see that happening. I think that Russell Wilson is going to come back down to earth. This defense has been playing great all year. I think that they're due for some off games.
Yeah. So the one thing that I can say is I have been high on the Pittsburgh Steelers since June, right? I thought they were going to be a very, very good team. I thought they're going to make a deep AFC playoff run. The main
Super Bowl run is what you were saying, man.
Yeah, I do believe they do have the potential to make it to the Super Bowl as long as they don't play the Ravens in the playoffs. But with that being said, the reason why I think they're going to win and they are the number 3 team is because their defense. Their defense is lights out. Their defense just keeps getting better and better and better. Yes, they had a couple off games, right? But the point of the matter is the defense is the heart and soul of that team, and that is why I have them at number 3. And John says, "Whoa, when the Eagles spank them, then what?" And I do not foresee the Battle of Pennsylvania being a blowout one way or the other. Mark, do you mean we will talk about this Saturday night, so don't give too much away? But do you see
not gonna be a blowout? But I think Philly's gonna win.
And honestly, John, if they do spank them, it is what it is. It is what it is, and they might drop a spot, or they might even move up a spot. You never really know. That's why you got to tune in every Tuesday to see what happens. And Laura says they do not belong that high. I'm questioning this spot. So you guys do not like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Laura does not like the Pittsburgh Steelers. John does not like the Pittsburgh Steelers in the number 3 spot. Mark, where should they be?
Maybe on the outside looking in.
Outside of the top 10 or top 5?
Top 10.
Oh, Hoffy.
I don't like this spot, but I think that's where they belong with their record. But I'm not sold on, I think this is another team that has, yes, they got a good win against Baltimore. But I think you look at their record, and I think a lot of their wins come against, teams that they should have beat. They beat Atlanta, Denver, the Chargers, will call that a decent win. If you want to call Denver a decent win, that's a flip-flop kind of game. But they lost to Indy, they lost to Dallas. They beat the Raiders, they beat the Jets, they beat the Giants, they beat the Commanders, they beat Baltimore. There's a good win, but then they lost to Cleveland. They, gave up 38 points to the Bengals. So of late, their defense has been giving up a lot of points, and then they just beat Cleveland. But they don't have a good win. But they haven't really played any good teams either. So I just don't think that they are a legitimate threat to these other teams that are in this top 5 when it comes, time, to play in the playoffs.
I definitely hear you, and I definitely feel you, and that is something that we have not really said much tonight about these rankings. Like, yeah, they're here, but they really haven't played anybody yet, and we could throw that against the Broncos, we could throw that against the Commanders, and we definitely could put that against the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. So I definitely understand that. James says the Eagles beat the dog snot out of Pittsburgh. Their shoes will fall off, but I'm just a hater, so there's that. Crazy they're ahead of Buffalo, though. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers would beat the Buffalo Bills head-to-head right now going into Week 15. That is why I have them ahead of there. And Jim Powell brings up a great point. Najee Harris isn't Jerome Bettis, isn't the bus. And he doesn't have to be because they got a two-headed monster back there. You forget about Mark, what's his name? Josh Warren. Jalen Warren. Yep, Jalen Warren. He's might be better than Najee too. We'll be honest. If he would get the rock, so and that's actually what Jim Powell just said, or sorry, James just said. Brody says, "What's the difference between the Vikings and the Pittsburgh Steelers? Steelers have a better defense. Steelers have a better running game. Steelers have a better quarterback. That's what the difference is between them and the Vikings." Mark, what are your thoughts about that?
You can't say
the
that.
Defense, I don't know. I feel like the defense one is debatable. I feel like Minnesota's defense has played solid all year.
They've had a very good scheme
too, but I mean, I don't know. I think some of the schemes that the Vikings have came up with against certain teams, like I don't know. I don't see the Steelers doing that.
Hoffy?
I think the Steelers have a better defense, but Mark touched on scheme. I think Brian Flores in the scheme of the Vikings defense makes them just as good as the Steelers. But I think the Steelers on paper have a better defense. But you can't say that Russell Wilson is, he's well more known than Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold's putting up better numbers and has played better this year.
Right.
So if we're going to talk about the better quarterback, I think Sam Darnold's a better quarterback. If you have, TJ Watt on your team, you can have Parkinson School for the Blind, the other 10 on your defense, and you're still going to be unbelievable. But yeah, I think what Brian Flores is doing with this defense and what he's scheming up is what makes this Vikings defense.
Yes, Sam Darnold is playing very, very good football right now. We just read the stats. Better passing numbers than Jackson, more touchdowns than Josh Allen, and fewer interceptions than Patrick Mahomes. We saw those stats. We heard those stats. But when the Vikings do not do well in cold weather, because they're a pass-happy offense, let's just be honest, they're a pass-happy offense. Right now they're sitting at the 5th seed. They are going to have to go down to a cold weather team to play. Not in the first round, but in the second round. They're going to have to go to Philly. They're going to have to go somewhere cold to play, and I'll be worried about that moving forward. But coming in at number 3, guys, I do have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, a little bit of shakeup up at the top, guys. A little bit of shakeup up at the top. Last week, we had the Detroit Lions sitting at number 2. We also had the Philadelphia Eagles sitting at number 1. Now, this is going to make some people mad because this is what I do. I know how to get the people going. No,
Buck likes to stir the pot.
No, but I did drop the Philadelphia Eagles down from number 1 to number 2 this week. Not because of they've been playing bad football. Yes, they did play bad against air quotes there versus the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are a very, very decent team right now, but the off the field issues that we're hearing across the board, that is ultimately why I dropped them down, right? We have all have heard the news, right? We've all been on the NFL channel, ESPN, Fox, whatever. We heard Brandon Graham say that Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown are not friends. They do not like each other. And then A.J. Brown, post-game, said, what is one thing that the offense can fix? And he says passing, a.k.a. throwing shade at Jalen Hurts. And the point of the matter is the Philadelphia Eagles have not thrown over 250 yards in the last 4 games. So I did move them down in this week's power rankings to number 2 because of that sample fact. Not because they're a bad team, but they're a fractured team, right? Let's just flash back to week 4. Fire everybody. This team sucks. They put a nice little mold on it, but then that fracture starts to show. This is about the time last year when they ultimately collapsed on themselves. So I do have them moving down to number 2. Philadelphia Eagles sitting at 2. Mark.
I gotta kind of agree with this one, but I'm not gonna drop them down because of their off the field shit. The one thing I will say is that you don't air out your dirty laundry. So Brandon Graham should have really not done that. I know that you can have issues with a player, and it kind of showed in the press conference, but Brandon Graham shouldn't have escalated it in another interview. It's just like, that's not his. I'm the firm believer. Like, if it's not your business, keep your mouth shut, dude. That's how I roll. It's just how it should go. And that's not what he did. And so I'm going to drop them down because they played really horrible against Carolina. And I think that that's the reason partly why they should be dropped down, is because, like, you don't struggle against a team like that, especially with their stacked roster.
Snitches get stitches.
That's all you got to say about that.
This is definitely, I think, going to, divide this team. Hopefully my manager isn't watching this show, because if so, I'm probably going to be out of job tomorrow. But when we were, just this past week, we were at our end of the year corporate meetings. One of the, my team members did not feel good, didn't want to go out to the team dinner. She was like, I'm not going, told the boss. He said, not a problem. 3 of the other people that I was, driving around with were like, well, she's not going, I'm not going. And I was like, well, I'm going. So I reached out to my boss and said, hey, can I ride with you? And he's like, I don't have room for the 4 of you. And I said, it's just me. And what's he do? Calls up the boss and says, these 3 other people aren't coming. And, they ended up getting in trouble. We all had to go out to dinner. And so, yeah, snitches get stitches. I think it definitely divides the locker room. It's shades of last year's Eagles team, I think. But regardless of if there was shade going on or not, I've been beating the drum for the past 3 weeks that you've had Eagles at, number 1, saying they don't belong there. It should be the Lions. So I'm glad you finally came to your senses, Buck.
Or I dropped the Lions out of the out of the top 10 in general, but
I will fucking jump through this computer screen and smack you.
But the Philadelphia Eagles guys are still a very, very good team. Do not get that twisted at all. 100%. They're still a very, very good team. They're still a very, very talented team. They're still a Super Bowl winning caliber type of team. But this off the field issue is going to cause issues, right? And now I understand there's 52 guys on a team, 13 guys on a practice squad, coaches, trainers, whatever, right? Not everybody's going to be best friends, but like what Mark said, what Hoffy said is you don't air dirty laundry. But then not even 12 hours pass, not even 10 hours pass. Brandon Graham's like, oh, I didn't mean it.
Oh, man.
Like, I didn't mean it. I'm just kidding, right? Like, so obviously something's
too late,
wrong.
dude. Too late.
Obviously something's wrong, and this is just a cover-up story like at this point in time. Are we trying to make something out of nothing? Potentially. But we saw it last year, right? We saw A.J. Brown when the Eagles won like 9 in a row or 8 in a row, and they're playing the Miami Dolphins. They're up 17 points, and A.J. Brown's bitching that he's not getting the ball on the sideline. Very next series, 3 straight passes to him, three straight drops. So is this the beginning of the end of the Philadelphia Eagles? Only time will tell. Only time will tell.
Buck, what's crazy, though, is that these guys are friends. And the whole reason why A.J. Brown went to the Eagles is because of Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden they're beefing. Like that's like the worst thing that could happen. And then there's another record out there that says that like whenever they have AJ Brown in the game, they win most of their games. So if they have, if they're like on the outs, the guy's not going to be affecting the game. That's bad for them. So you're right.
Yeah,
I
brothers.
think Jalen Hurts should throw a slant to Brown over the middle and just get him laid out.
That'll
Let him
teach
know
him.
who's boss.
That'll teach him. That'll teach him. But
Run your mouth some more.
brothers fight, and John says it's about dawn time. It's about time they dropped out of the first place. Jim's like, whatever, Mom. Jeez. Laura says Eagles need to be at the bottom. Boo. Also says I'm a Eagles hater. James Frank says I'll take Jalen Hurts in an AJ Brown fight any day of the week. Jim says if you don't air out your dirty laundry, how can you advertise to be a Broncos fan, Mark? No comments.
No comment.
No comment. I plead the fifth. First round picks for Watson for Hurts. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Laura says, there's a problem when a team isn't playing like a team. Sit back and watch. But they're still playing good. That's why they're still playing good. They're still playing very, very good football. But coming in at number 2, I do have the Philadelphia Eagles. Now coming in at number 1, finally cracking the top number spot of the NFL power rankings by your boy Man Hour NFL Talk, and the Buck, of course, is a team that has won 11 games in a row. A team that is kind of struggling, air quotes, the last few weeks, right? Yes, they did beat the Green Bay Packers by 3, but they beat the Bears by 3. They beat the Colts by 20-ish points, 18 points, but they're not playing up to Lions standards the last few weeks. But I think last week Thursday versus the Green Bay Packers shown how good the Detroit Lions can actually be. 15 guys on IR. They're a plug-and-play defense. It doesn't matter who you are. You can be a high school senior at a 2A high school here in Southern Indiana that is 0-15 of your career, and you can go in and you can probably start for the Detroit Lions defense right now and probably put up some work. But coming in at number 1, I do have the Detroit Lions.
You know what? I never like to agree with you, Buck. I really don't. I never do. But I got to admit, your thoughts about how you feel like at some point this is the team. How we've been talking all night about teams that the shoe's gonna fall off. You've been saying over and over that the defense of the Lions is gonna be their Achilles heel, and at some point the shoe's gonna fall off. I hate to tell you, but I'm starting to agree with you on that. I just feel like the Lions, I have to admit, are kind of like my second team. I don't really have a second team, but if I had to pick one, it'd be the Lions. I've always liked them. My grandma's from Michigan, so they've always been like the lovable losers, but they're not that anymore. But they worry me the way that they've been playing lately, and I just don't see it sustainable. I'm not totally sure what their defense ranking is, but I feel like it's not in the top 10, 15, and if it's not, they're not going to win a Super Bowl because most teams that have a defensive ranking below that don't go to the Super Bowl and win.
Yeah, so as of right now, Mark, I believe I looked up before the Green Bay Packers, they're ranked 19th on total defense.
Yeah,
so,
see, no bueno.
Yeah. Hoffy, what are your thoughts about the Lions being number 1?
You can't come on here and defend your Kansas City Chiefs on a win is a win. Doesn't matter if it's 1 point, 2 point, and then go and shit on the Lions and say, they're not playing that great. They're just barely winning. I mean, the last 2 weeks, yes, they only won by 3 points, but they beat up on the Colts, by 18. They boat raced the Jaguars by 46 points, a team that's been, not very good, but still, I mean, to beat a team by 46 points, I agree that, the injuries are piling up, and I think that's going to come back to bite them in the ass in the playoffs, but we're talking about body of work right now. They are the number 1 team in the NFL.
Yeah, Hoffy, you are correct. I was kind of talking sideways out of my mouth like a tad bit there when I said they only beat the Packers by 3, and then the Bears only by 3 as well. I was kind of throwing shade without throwing shade. You are 100% correct on that. But truth be told, they are kind of playing worse than what they have been, right?
Absolutely.
So the Kansas City Chiefs have been kind of just like this steady, mediocre team, right? The Lions were way up here. They were bar none playing top-notch football for a very, very long time. But now they're kind of starting to come back down. They're ready for January, right? They're tired of winning football games. They want to win some meaningful football games in January and February. Mark, any last thoughts before we go into the comments?
Well, if they're gonna win in January and February, they better quit these stupid ass fourth downs and shit they go for all the time. I know it's their way, but in the playoffs, it's gonna hurt them just like it did last year.
Yep. 4th and 2 on your own 30. Third quarter, not good. Let's see what the people are saying. Jim Powell says they will be number 1 until Dan Campbell's. Going for it on 4th down.
Like we just said, when he goes for it on 4th down and they don't make it this time.
Exactly. James Frank says, yes, put some respect on them Lions and Dan Campbell with a huge nutsack risking it all. You know, James,
that.
sometimes people cause just being plain stupid got balls. Dan Campbell was just plain stupid on that play. Let's just be honest. That was a dumb play, 4th down call. That was just stupid. He just got lucky. Derek asked, does Jared Goff qualify for any award? Yeah, MVP. He qualifies for MVP, Offensive Player of the Year. But no, he's no comeback player of the year or anything just like that. But honestly, it might be a 3-person race, but between him, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson for the MVP when it comes down to
Come on, what about Saquon, man?
No, you gotta
put
throw in
respect on
Saquon.
Saquon's name.
I would like to.
You ain't gonna get it, but you gotta throw him in there now.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think he is definitely the MVP, right? But it's a quarterback award, right? On the best team. Let's just be honest.
I think it's Josh
Last
Allen.
time a running back won the award was Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, and that was
That was the year he beat his children.
That was pre-beaten children. That was pre.
Truth.
James Frank says, I feel that I don't have a second team, but I could be happy seeing the Lions hoist that trophy and winning. John says, truth, Hoffy. Truth. Popcorn Recan says the Chiefs suck. Lions have weapons and defense, same as my Eagles. So the Chiefs don't have weapons on offense or a defense either? I'm kind of confused about that, Popcorn. But your comment, not mine. And Laura says, yay, it's good to see the Lions at the top. They have fought all season long to be at the top, and that's what I mean by them and the amount of injuries they have done. They have done do it win. Jim Powell says, Hoffy, division games are always tough. You're right. Do not boost Hoffy's ego, Jim. Never,
Yes,
never
not
do that. The minute you praise Hoffy 1 second, his nuts drop to his fucking
Woo!
knees.
What's up, ladies?
Oh,
I'm going out to the bar tonight. I'm feeling good.
Let's go. James Frank says Allen will get the MVP and Saquon will get Offensive Player of the Year. Truth be told, I'm not for sure. But, guys, I do have the Detroit Lions coming at number 1. So, guys, just to recap our total NFL power rankings here, coming at number 10, we do have the Washington Commanders at number 10. Number 9, we do have the Baltimore Ravens. Coming in at number 8, the Green Bay Packers. Number 7, the Denver Broncos. Number 6, the Minnesota Vikings. Number 5, the Kansas City Chiefs. Number 4, Buffalo Bills. Number 3, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 2, the Philadelphia Eagles. And then coming in at number 1 are the Detroit Lions. Mark, what are your closing thoughts?
For welcoming me to the family. The last 2 years have been really hard for me. Anybody who knows me knows why. But this podcast has been something that gives me something to look forward to every week, even though I'm just talking shit with Buck and Hoff. And I just appreciate the happiness and stuff, the positive things it's brought to my life. So I just want to say thank you to everybody out there for listening to my bullshit every week with Buck and Hoff. I love doing it every week with you guys. Let's keep it going.